Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IEU virtual talk. We will get it started shortly. We will allow other participants to join us. We will give it a minute for other participants to join us. In the meantime, be sure to follow us, the IEU of the Green Climate Fund. You can scan the QR code in front of you, and you'll see the IEU's various social media and online channels, and you can access all the latest from the IEU. You're welcome to tweet about today's event using the handle at GCF_eval. That's the IEU Twitter handle. And the hashtag for today's event is #IEU Talks. And may I ask the participants to please kindly mute themselves because we get this noise coming from somebody. So kindly ensure that your mics stay muted throughout the presentation, and especially when you are not speaking. Thank you. All right, so it's 5:02 p.m. Korea time. We will get it started. We have a good number of participants. So the IEU virtual talks feature leaders in the international space and are a great venue for dialogue, learning, and exchange. And we use this opportunity to increase understanding about the IEU of the Green Climate Fund, but also we raise awareness of the diverse voices and streams of learning in the space of evaluation as it relates to climate change and sustainable development. So we welcome you all to the IEU virtual talk, and we hope you enjoy today's talk. Today's talk will be about for an hour, and it'll be recorded and it'll be made available on the IEU's YouTube channel afterwards. So let me give you a brief introduction of today's talk. Well, today's program, after I introduce the speaker for today, we will hear from Dr. Junseok Hwang from Seoul National University on the topic of tackling climate change through digital transformation, a look at Korean organizations and the Snu Smart Campus. He will speak for about 20-25 minutes, and then we will have a Q&A session for 30 minutes, which will be moderated. And for this, we encourage you to send us your questions in the Zoom chat box throughout the show. And we will make sure to cover as many questions as possible towards the end during the Q&A. Before we get started, some housekeeping. So as I mentioned, please kindly mute your mics so that we don't disturb the speaker. And then during the show, please kindly send us your questions through the Zoom chat box. And again, you can tweet about today's talk using the handle at GCF_eval. And then the hashtag for this event is IEU Talks. All right, so without further ado, let me introduce today's speaker. Dr. Junseok Hwang is Professor of the Technology Management, Economics, and Policy Program in the College of Engineering, and he's Director of the International Technology Professionals Program at SNU. Dr. Hwang leads the Smart City Global Convergence Program at SNU, which is funded by Korea's Brain Korea 21 or BK21 project as program director. And I think he will speak more about this BK21 project during his presentation. He received his PhD in Information Science and Telecommunications from the University of Pittsburgh. So with that, I give the floor to Professor Junseok Hwang. Professor Hwang, over to you.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you very much for kind introduction. Thank you, everyone. My name is Junseok Hwang, as announced. Today, I'd like to share with you my perspective, how we can, rebalance our climate change or climate issues, by some of the innovative technologies, we are dealing with today. And certainly I'd like to give a sort of state of art and also up to date the national plans and some of the practices, and also some of the real example where I am teaching and researching and living, which is Snu Smart Campus. So, feel free to ask me, after the presentation if you have any. And this is ongoing effort, and I believe actually we have to do this effort for next 10 years. So what I'm saying is, this is not only for the one that only today, for those who are inspired that, by this talk, really, and then probably have a will and passion and energy, to join these cooperation, to tackle this change as a humankind for next 10 years. And then, by 2030, you would be able to maybe celebrate and appreciate each other for the accomplishment, what we did with, global community. This is my dream. Today, next please. So, well, I'll give you a little bit of background, and especially, some of the technology we are trying to tackle, for the, climate change. Sometimes we call climate technology, but sometimes, we say green transformation, because, green is a real good balancing in the color, and also, stating the nature and nature with the humankind to be together. And so, I would say green transformation. And then, in order for us to accomplish the green transformation, the Korea recently also committed to do for next 5 years of the national resources and strategy to be get together, have an impact, a mega impact onto the, current problem. And so they say New Deal. So I'm going to actually, share with you something called the Green Deal within the K New Deal. And after that, I'd like to share with you in my second, part, that our campus development, which is near to Songdo, where GCF is situated, and and then that is the city of Siheung of Gyeonggi province. And we have a new campus called the Snu Smart Campus. I will say Smart Singularity Startup Campus, and I will tell you why. And I will share with you some of the plan. We already have some development, and some, 4 buildings has been fully established, or 5 buildings, but complex. But in 5 years, we expect to actually complete, most of them. Hope you can see, and you will understand why these are related to green transformation or digital transformation technology for the climate changes. Well, next please. And so I would like to say that, that we are, committed, for great transformation. So great transformation is our transformation effort for next 10 years. So we have 10 years left to accomplish our SDG. And this SDG time is the period where, we should, commit ourselves, to not to redo the same mistake we did before 21st centuries. As you know that by the science we need to have a 1.5 Celsius degree to be reduced for us to recover the balance of the nature what we used to have kind of more stabilized climate worldwide and balanced living. But by the many researchers has done, we are still in very behind to accomplish such kind of the reduction in the temperature, global warming. We expect to have 30 gigatons of the CO2, to be reduced, to accomplish such kind of, our goal we committed. But those by far, that many of the evidence shows that we are still behind, and we need to, we should not do the same way what we did, but by just, let's say, relying on the economic mechanism, which means, the country pay for the, emission. And this economical mechanism has not been that effective, and politics did not allow us to cooperate. And for that reason, many of these are in danger and in challenges. So, one of the importantly, in order for us to cope with that, we should devise the technology and change the way of our living, right? Eventually, the way of our living is we walk home, our insurance is covered, even though I'm working home, right? And so, totally, we change the way, but those are not possible without good technology, or digital transformation, or platform, right? And culture, and governance, and social transformation. So enabled by the, many of the fourth industrial revolution technology, and changing the way we are, that we are working and living, that is the only solution. So technology should be used not only for the, industrial, purposes, but technology should be used for the social reform and environmental reform, and also, governance reform, at the same time, economic reform. So, we should aim for such kind of, total great transformation. And that's why we need to think about the technology's capability more seriously. Next slide, please. So, well, I think maybe it's a little bit too small, the text, but as you can see, there are, a lot of technologies in relation to what we call climate technologies. Those include many things related to the, energies, many things related to the water or natural resources, many things related to our working, many things related to the health, many things related to the building and roads and infrastructure, right? And so, we have a very large dimensions of technology, which are in relation to the climate changes, right? And those are all possibility, where we can apply, our way of thinking to do that. So we should not build a building, the same way we used to build. We should have a different design, maybe difference, for next 10 years at least. Why? Because if we build the building same way, the reason and the problem will not be solved, at least, from the perspective of the building technology dimension. Road, same, right? And governance, same. But, in order for us to do these things, digital and ICT are, very important, what makes it digital, it let us to share our capability, right? And communicate, right? Without the limit of the spaces, right? So our, cyber, capability actually kind of, make our physical, dimension and capability to be more effective. That means that we don't need to, generate that much of CO2 than before to generate same value of certain things. At the same time, some of the like a financial mechanism, like a fintech, should be, reside to let the people to have a social contract and cooperation, right? And then, fair, kind of reward or investment, and that in order for us to do this kind of smart and green, transformation through the technology acceleration. So this is, for that reason, I believe, there are great dimensions that in our society should be working together to create such kind of technologies and to be educated people to have using the technology, not only for the commercial value or business value and economic value, but environmental value and social value, and also governance, and also our humanity values. So next, please. So, and so I'm going to actually, then, out of that 10 years, one half, in Korea, we have a word saying that, half, the starting is the half. 시작이 반이다. And so so I will say, if we do well the first half of these 10 years, I think, that, next half, would be able to be more stabilized, doable. Okay. But if we fail to do the first half, I don't believe we would have a time to catch up those things for another 5 years for the, all things we accomplish as a great transformation. Okay. So this year, next year, very important. And especially the first half, before 25 is the very important. We should have a confidence that we change, almost half of our way of living. By that time, if we want to have a dream that, by 2030, most of the SDGs has accomplished. So we will get the signal by 2030, 2025, whether, we have a most probable future, by of SDG and climate change, problems resolved by 2030, and this is very important moment. So, in order for us to do that as a Korea, Korea is already the country, where we try to have an innovation, as you know, that in many index we say that Korea is one of the innovative country, and for R&D spending, education, and social reform and things like that. So, by such kind of policy and national kind of, like say, commitment that we pursue, great transformation for the national environmental, energy, and social and governance. So as you know that Korea has been also one of the poorest country in the 1950 of the Korean War, but after that we have to catch up, with the developed world. And so, but, while we are catching up, we have to just redo and copy the thing what, many of the industrialized, mistake. For that reason, so also we have a, outcome and also side effect of such kind of rapid development, including environmental, problem. And in order for us to do, come out of such kind of change that we have as a burden, and then, leading, we have to go to some challenge, innovate, right, and creative, right, something, not copying the past, but, redoing and, creating something. So that is why, we pursue New Deal. Second one is carbon dependent, as you know, and so we create a lot of CO2 also in Korea, but these need to be reviewed. So many, this is not only by the national government, but, many businesses, and they need to do it in that way. And also all the organization and our social living should do in that way. And unequal, society, as you know, that, that are not fully, equal and fair society, but, our, bipolarized, the incomes and rights has been our social problem. And we want to actually improve that. So open inclusive economy. But this is not only the Korean problem, as you know, the worldwide, we have a lot of, segregation going on because of that kind of inequality. Next, please. Okay, so in order for us to do is that we, created the tangible project plan. And so I think, and then out, there are digital New Deal, something called, and 12 project, and, Green New Deal project, such like 8 project, and then, probably, also, strengthening safety net and social system, and, 8 projects. So total, they're like almost, almost 30, 28 project has been launched and planned, probably more. And so today I'm going to actually show you what's going on in the Green New Deal. And next, please. Okay, so the Green New Deal, let's urban space and living infrastructure. So definitely, we want to have a zero energy building, such as our campus. If you come to our campus are equipped with all solar panel. Inside, we try to have a many kind of optimized building energy management system that may actually reduce the CO2 we are creating. At the same time, we want to actually localize many of the services which were given from the outside but inside building, so that not much of the so we try to have a autonomical and self-satisfactory kind of the social system is one of the way to reduce the CO2 emission and other things. So, zero, energy building and public facilities and restoration of green ecosystem in the land, sea, and cities, and build a clean and safe water management system. So we are practicing those in our new campus also, and around the area of Siheung, where it used to be, very industrialized district. Okay, next one, please. And also low carbon, energy diffusion. So probably, maybe I think change. If you see Incheon, also from the Songdo and also in the Siheung, you may see very high, and kind of steel top, which are the used for the transmission of the electricity, right, from the very far kind of the power plants, and which use a lot of coals and gas. And those need to be replaced, by the smart grid and microgrid, and then we don't need to have those to be transmitted, from very well, those kind of mega, CO2 emission, factories or power system. So also, for that reason, renewable energy is very important, and supporting fair, so in order for us to electrical vehicle, right, e-mobility, and many of the system to be generated for, so most of the probable and close the close power energy is electricity. The electricity can come naturally, from the solar, or come from water, come from the wind. That's why we say the electricity is actually something like has a very low gap toward to the natural resources, right? That's why having an appliance and car to be sourced by electricity is actually very important, right? So which we call electronic economy, right? So we used to use the gas, and also wood and coal to generate, but not anymore. Okay. So expansion of the spread and green mobility, such as these are the hydro. So yeah, we are gonna do that. So next, please. The third thing is also green industry, innovative ecosystem. So that the like a greenness is actually great important value for the company and organization, right? And so and many people re-emphasize ESG management, right? Environmental, social, and governance, right? For the value of the businesses, right? And so in order for us to do that, the industry should have kind of coalition, to create these kind of as a general value system of the. So I believe so green innovation is very important. Okay. Next, please. So as you can see that, there are, some of the, so out of the Green New Deal, like green remodeling of the building and green energy or eco-friendly future mobility, like, yeah, these are directly green innovation, green technology, but also, kind of, you have a green and the smart and digital data together, transforming public organization or buildings such as school, right? And campus, right? Green school. And also creating digital twin allow that to change the way we are living in the physical society, and then cyber information, data to enable us to make, our physical society to be more green friendly. And so digitizing in the SOC and green industrial complex. These are all going on surrounded in Songdo area. Free economic zone. At the same time, Namdong Industry Park in Incheon, and also Shihwa Industry Park in Siheung, Ansan, around the area. In this West Sea, a lot of industrial park, and that has a mega impact if we actually have this kind of transformation. In order for us to actually enable this one, digital transformation technologies are very important. Something called data dam or AI government or smart medical infrastructure or open data, right? And data, data sharing or data federation among the many organizations are also very important tasks. So, we may have a more list, in every year, but this is current list of what we have. Next, please. So I think, in next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to actually read what's going on. So, that in order for us to, that we believe that current problem we are facing, called climate change and social problem, because of the will has already limited our capability. This is something called the singularity. So our global faces are facing the singularity problem. And so those cannot be solved by individual or individual company. Only partnership, right? Cooperation are the only sources. And this, in the same way, but our industrial economy kind of forced us to compete each other. So competitive market are the kind of the virtue for the industrial economy, for the efficiency, but not anymore. So but that created a lot of problems, social problems, which we call segregation. So these need to be changed. How to do that? I believe by education. That's why we built this new Seoul National University Smart Campus as a smart singularity university. Okay, next please. So we believe we should the city or our society need to be made by the more connection and by the data, but through the cooperation. So we symbolize that the SNU, but the neighboring city called Siheung as a hyper smart city, as a brand name. And hyper smart city means citizenship, right? The citizenship to be strengthened by greenness, by environmental, by socialism. And they can be also strengthened by the also heterogeneity and diversity, but right, multinationality, and also hyper democracy, which we say humanism. So humanism based democracy are. So, but in order for us to do that, not only just the ideology, but using technology and social system, that is what we so-called hyper smart city. Next, please. And so this is probably, I think there are people who, if some of you are, as a new student within this side here, and then, these are the picture we may see in 5 years, but, there are currently, a lot of, development going on the right side and the center, and as a global R&D, and then also we have also, hospital, new smart hospital complex will be there. But currently there's a drone institute, and also the autonomous vehicle and electrical vehicle institute, and there is also smart ocean the research institute, where we do about smart shipping and other things, and also global educational cooperation complex there. And also there are new way of dormitory and or the housing, which I keep the more environmental friendly. Hopefully our building energy management system allow, and also our microgrid allow us to have this campus truly not only smart and green. Next, please. So on the top, the tallest one is something we envision as a global innovation tower, which we aim or celebrate. We aim for the great transformation. Okay, this is in a landmark we are planning. Sometimes we call World Bank, or sometimes we call global. Sometimes we call GCF building. But this is where every global organization to be placed to either celebrate the SDG accomplishment, or say further commit another the transformation. So that is why we envision this kind of landmark on by the sea and the seashore. But on the right side, you see under that top, this is a global industrial park, where we're a global startup, where and they come for the great transformation. So we envision. But in addition to that medical complex, but we also envision the platform medicine, which means a lot of telemedicine, right, in distance medicine or global medicine can be practiced. So people, the patient does not need to commute to the hospital, or even though we can actually diagnose or see the patient worldwide, And those are the problems. And also we actually expect to, make another living welfare complex, on the side. Okay, next, please. Well, I think I will share with all these slides. So I'm gonna actually, so this I already explained you in a more detail. Next, please. And so, we named this one called SAVE, SNU Startup, Accelerator, Venture, and Enterprise. We believe in order for us to do the new way and different way of building, right, and business, right, we believe everyone should be equipped with the startup kind of, the spirit, right, and the values. And so it does not need to be only for to make kind of economically successful, the startup, but any startup organization in the international organization can be startup. For example, the GCF is still startup, international organization, right? Less than 10 years of it's born, right? So we want to have such kind of newly committed, right, and the vision to have, and so these are the kind of campus, we in order to strengthen the capacity, or the neighboring and smart citizenship, we built this smart city global convergence major, right? So educating the people who will be the leader of all the cities in the world. This smart city means the city with great transformation. And so there will be a professional, and there will be a governor, there will be a mayor, there will be teachers, there will be a kind of planner, they are the experts working in the international organization. But we need such a leader with a new value. So for that reason, in this new campus, I started this BK program, which I say Brain Korea 21, as a scholarship. And luckily I received very huge amount of the scholarship that may support next 7 years for all the students, including Korean and international students, to do, to build their smart citizenship with the leadership with the digital transformation and in many smart technologies. And that's what's going on now. Next, please. So next, please. I have a homepage of this one that so the people can. So there's a very transdisciplinary, and we need an interdisciplinary transdisciplinary leader, right? And the students are have a very diverse background coming over, and also international. We teach them with the English, and we teach them with the expertise, not by the academic, but also professional. So World Bank leader, GCF leaders, right? And also KT leader and, ministry leader, all are coming and teaching, as a leader in our, campus, which makes us different from our traditional campus in Hwang. Okay, next, please. Well, I think, as a commitment, so let's say, I want to create a landmark, but landmark always celebrate or, showing some commitment, not by individual, but by the society. I'm raising, vision sharing with many of the international leaders, right? Let's say go for the going, global open innovation network groups. For what? Great transformation, okay? Let's make the SNU or Seoul or Seoul National University or Songdo or this place to be the place where we will start this going. For what? Great transformation, and changing. And one of the things is SDG accomplishment and climate change and everything. And so nextly, so many of the country, already have such kind of, successful story. We want to do that another, success story in Korea. Next, please. So this is actually future view, and I am, working very hardly and smartly with many friends, and also GCF friends too, and to work on, these kind of new mission. So to make this campus to be, let's say, the model for the society, at least we accomplish something, like as a, like 30 years of ahead compared to the rest of the world. Okay, so our value system, our environmental and our social value, our ideology, our knowledge should be ahead and not the back. That's why we do research and we work very hard to give a direction and leaderships to the rest of the society. I believe going has a truly very important meaning, and then this will make also Seoul National University not only as a national university and global university, which will chase the problem of those problems we used to have in the SDG, listed, and also in the climate changes and many of the social problems we are facing. Okay, I will stop here. Here I say SNU GCF Green Innovation Center. I expect to create some kind of, Green Innovation Center by the collaboration of GCF in that landmark building. Thank you very much, and look forward to having your, questions if you have any. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Hwang. That was a very insightful presentation, and I myself learned a great deal about the K New Deal and what you are doing to make this smart citizenship happen. So that was great. We already have some questions, and actually many of your students, I think, they gave you a shout out. So it's great to see everyone. Yeah, we have such a diverse audience from Greece, Indonesia, and where else? Ethiopia. Yes, the Philippines. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. So the first question we have is from Josu Benga, and he says, what could international organizations such as the GCF do to support the Smart Citizenship Project?
Well, I think one thing easily I can say is operation knowledge sharing, such as for the capacity building for the leaders and professional. Well, I think the citizenship should start somewhere, right? So at least we have to prepare the leaders, to teach or share such a smart citizenship. It should start somewhere. So first leaders, and those leaders will go to every corner of the society, every sectors, right? And so, green leadership, global green leadership, kind of program. And also, let's say, some kind of the maybe educational institution, which is not like a traditional like academia, but more of a, let's say, poly science academy, by run by international organization and the academics like that. So multilateral led education also, or some of the online like a knowledge exchange like this we are having is one of the example. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the role of higher education institutions is all the more important, right, to fulfill
Sure.
vision. Okay. So the next question is from Daniar, and he says, you said the SNU Smart Campus system will process open and big data to make various flexible, dynamic, scalable, and speedy decisions. However, the campus itself will also generate a lot of data, like vehicles moving, availability and usage of electric and hydrogen stations. Is there a plan to publish this kind of campus data so that users can use it to create?
Yes, we have. So I think, as you know that, I said 5 buildings are already built. Those 5 buildings has a certain mobility project, and those mobility are either drones or, electronic, self-driving car, ships, and also, kind of like last mile robots inside of the smart building. And those will be equipped with a certain sensors, and also the buildings will be equipped with many of the sensor. We are going to actually have those to be, gathered, something called, Smart City Data Hub, which actually we already have, some server and also software platform built, by the support of the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Land Infrastructure, and Kuktobu. And so, such kind of R&D, technologies are there. We plan to cooperate with the citizens to see what kind of problem they want to actually solve by many of these locomotive integration. And so not only delivery, but also, kind of, let's say, disaster recovery, or, environmental, right, protection, and also kind of healthcare, kind of support and things like that. And so, yes, we have a project, and then, when we gather these data as a living lab, open data living, these data will be also available for the researchers, or, the professional who may, use this one for the public purposes or something. So there's a procedure that, because data is very sensitive for the privacy, and also, important public asset. So there's a procedure that how the, people can access this data, but, we are open for many of them. We also create a lot of, created a lot of, the agreement among the organization institutions to share the data they have. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. We have another question, and maybe I can combine my own question with this one, because yes, the smart city, the smart campus idea, it seems very attractive and charming, but where do you get this funding? What are the cost implications? So that was my first question. And related to that one, what's the strategy to fostering public-private partnerships, maybe, to support the smart campus project?
Okay, the first one, I think, you need to work with the very, not only one funding source. So initially, the land given by the city municipality, for us to start our school. And then after that, we work with the many, the constructor, right? That who, may build, right? And later on operate, right? And so, and also some buildings are donated by the, Hyundai Motors, right? Such as mobility, institute. So, for those stakeholders in those, value chains of the either automotive industry, or, shipbuilding, right? And Deu, and also, so I think, we engage the, the either industry or international organization partner, to support us. Also, we also find the matching from the municipality or government by our application to, to the central government. So far, those are committed in that way, but still the, the additional budget we are expecting are very huge. And, we need to come up with a certain idea, kind of very, let's say, to show the impact and why it's worthwhile to invest. So very creative ideas needed, to show the role model, but at the same time creating a demand. The people want, people wants to have a, you have to have a demand that, people want to come and, work, and also, have a place in our campus, right? So creating that demand is actually, how, I believe actually it's actually the program or project. So I'm not going to wait until the, all these project, until the building is done. But even though people are outside, I'm going to do the project inside of it. So that, anyway, they have a great need of facilities and things like that. And they have all funding, our intellectual capabilities like R&D are currently, kind of cyber or, knowledge invisible, but eventually those value will, demand, right? Or create the demand for the, physical infrastructure such as building and environment, right? So that is, one approach we are doing. So, okay, you want to have a first people, not the building, right? So I want to have a lot of people coming, by online education, right? Partnership, right? Project, right? So, we have a huge, like, let's say 2/3 of the space are still empty, but, I have a strong, hope that it will be fulfilled, easily. But, one thing we do is, having a, smart demand, which is actually, with education, R&D, and many of, cooperation. So that is actually, I believe the university are the place where the many multi stakeholders are, gather together like Acropolis, and then, share their knowledges and open platform, right? And they are talking about global issues and universal issues, right? And so, and also future issues. So that allow us to do, and doing that way. Second one, PPP. You still need, some kind of organization. Our GRC, Global R&D Center, are kind of also, one of the center doing such kind of, global innovation partnership. So many cities call these kind of organizations called innovation center, where you have, experts from the public and private, and also citizens capability of partnership. So, our center already have a lot of experts, not only the professors, but, the professor from the, actual business or public organization. I believe we need a bigger organization, for our innovation, for our campus, not only campus, but smart city, and also this, kind of the ecosystem. I see that the Songdo is also same ecosystem with us. So, we need to actually, create kind of, let's say, such kind of innovation complex, such certainly going global open innovation network and groups, a kind of association or federation of such kind of innovation center, worldwide. I believe, we need a lot of innovation institute, in many municipality and countries, and also universities, international organizations. And so, there are varieties of the innovation center, but those need to co-work together for the great transformation. That's it, Yanji.
Okay, thank you, Professor Hwang. So we have a number of questions, and I'm going to group some of them together. So maybe we can talk about whether this smart campus model can be replicated elsewhere, such as in developing countries. So we have this question from Hachalu asking, so what are your recommendations for the developing countries to learn?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes?
Definitely. I believe, these, we envision these to be, replicated within the campus. Well, I think, as I mentioned in my earlier talk, the university is a model of the society. This is the future model of the society. If your current, society are in, let's say, in fight and conflicts, this university should not be in the, in conflict, because this society should, at least within your university, you should have, all the cooperation, all the, department, right, and governance and units cooperate together, even though, everyone is fighting outside of your campus. So, and at the same time, the value you are creating should be higher than, working in, right, in the normal society, right? And also, the ethical value, right? And the moral value, social value, environment value, right? And these need to be advanced. So, well, I think, university started in that way a long time ago, but over the time, when our society actually accelerated by the industry, by the financing, and then over the time, finally now university actually plays a role as a professional kind of, let's say, the feeding to the demand of the supply, or as a supplier for the demand. But no, university should be placed as a set goal, setting the value for the, future society, and then also, far advanced than, current based, right? So not relying on the, so such kind of challenges and breakthrough and transformation need to be done in the university. I believe that's why, I believe I stress the importance of the university to be transformed before we transform the society. So how to do that? Like create a kind of environment like we have in Snu, and totally show the different way of living and studying and working together, and finally replicate that to the society. So we are ready to share our experience with other campuses. We are helping Ethiopian University, Adama Science Technology University, for their new campus. They also have a similarly new campus like us. Not only just educational system or center equipment, we want to actually support by EDCF, right? Korean Exim Bank, or some kind of program that, but we want to actually also share our kind of new values of the smart campus, so that that new campus and University of Hanoi Nation, so Vietnamese National University, one of the the best universities, Hanoi University. University of Hanoi has a science technology campus, which they call Tudo campus, which also envision kind of the headquarters of the smart city. these need to be practiced so that, that innovational kind of value can flow outside of the campus so that, transform the Hanoi, right? And so transform the Hanoi, in old way, what we call Saigon. Okay, so Saigon is the Hanoi, the old name, and then these are the places.
Okay, so universities are supposed to play this key leading role to change, to transform societies, right?
Right. Yeah.
So thank you very much for that. So there was a specific question about the Africa context. So in Africa, there is high rate of CO2 emissions due to deforestation. Can we have a sustainable model for implementation of renewable energy, which will lead to provision of alternative energy sources instead of using firewood, specifically for African countries?
Right. I believe actually, even though the African countries are behind of many of these, and energy resources, I believe that's the opportunity. You can change all these when you have a smaller, portion of your energy system, right? So the rest of the world fully keep with all this carbon, then dependent, right? And then, the energy sources, and it costs a lot, for Korea to change all those, right? So okay, you're lacking, but say they currently, right? But changing totally over, so yeah, solar. Africa, solar is, one of the big opportunity. And so also blue ocean, blue economy by the sea or water, right? And also, so I think definitely there's a chance, but you need to have a policy, cooperation, that your society should, strategize that as a, by the government, like Korea, right? Korea New Deal. Yeah, well, I think in developing country, and I would say Korea is still developing country, like, but because it's small, the economies are small. Who is the largest collector of the financial resources? Is government still, right? So government should play a very important role because you have a financial power, resource power, and employment power, right? For that reason, that role of the government and nation is very important. But unlike the developing country like the United States, most of the financial power are not given to the government, but given to the many of the large conglomerates, global giant groups, right? For that reason, they say privatization. But that is not the model for the developing countries. Government and public workers should play a very important role.
Thank you for that. So I welcome this question from Matt because we are the independent evaluation unit. And so we welcome questions about measuring. So how do you measure the success of such huge projects? And are there other examples of smart cities campuses which are experiencing the benefits, which are seeing
Well,
benefits?
I think we are one of the pioneer. So I would not say they're one in the de facto standards measure, but by the value system you're pursuing, and then you would be able to say that that you actually successfully accomplished your smart citizenship. So in the city, the right measure for the smart city is actually the population. I still believe that the population not by the mean of the physically living there, but by the mean of the who are associated with that city, right? Because worldwide you will work worldwide on that city, MSI, and or that city, you study that city, right? So the population associated with that city are growing, and that means you are you because you are smarter, right? Smart is actually the subjective value, relative value, evolutionary value. For that reason, that always you have a smarter room. So every innovational context, but more human-centered innovation context, which means more people cooperating and social changes. And so I believe we have already many indexes talking about that kind of things. And so your society and your city should also select which one really value and needed for your cultural context, social context. At the same time, also, for the need of those municipality or the city, the university should play the role, right? and giving a solution to the problem of the neighboring city or adjacent city, right? So if the Siheung campus, right, Smart Campus, wanna be in a number top university, right, ranked #1 in the smart city, that means I should make the Siheung or Songdo be one of the first smart city in the world, which means everyone is happier there, right? And the people associated with the Songdo will be ever growing, and also Songdo or Siheung or Incheon, right? And that is our key index, right? And that in our smart campus, right? And will probably, will play important role as a like capacity builder, right? And then also we contribute, right, to the neighboring society, but also, having a globalization, for example, multinationality like we have, right? And so having the people who know and who learn, right, and global value through our university is very important index. So there's no one index, but you would be able to translate that what is the global value. So global and human and innovative values are kind of, I will say, important one.
Okay, thank you. So we have less than 5 minutes to go, but if you allow me, let's please quickly go over these two remaining questions. So question number one is, can the smart campus be self-sustainable in financial terms, especially with regards to knowledge production, like concept design and innovation? That's the first question. And then question number two is, how do you achieve the energy matrix change to green energy in countries where still fossil fuels are predominant? So maybe you could answer those two questions.
Haha. Well, ironically, the university should be self-sustained, in a way, by what? By creating knowledge, okay? R&D, so that means, you should have a startup, or you should have, someone who, studied from your university, and then, who not only hired by something, but creating, and then they donate back, right? And that's, in that way, I would say, yes, self-sustainable. But at the same time, university play as a, platform, right? For the, the partnership and creating, you should have openness. So, university is a society. You cannot divide the university with the society. And if my alumni, my student donate to my campus, would that be, making that our university not sustainable? No, it's a sustainable. It's a self-sustainable, right? And someone, who are not our alumni, but they visionize with us, and that's sustainable, right? So I don't know what is really, self-sustainability, meaning of that, resources or the, these are all interlinked. But still, university plays as a leader and model of the society, then that proves, that university is self-sustainable, right? The leader, right, work for, not for themselves. Leader, working for the others. Reader, responsible for the rest of the people. Reader is an organization like a university, responsible for the rest of the society. For that reason, if university plays a leadership, already self-sustainable. Second one, of energy, well, I think that the transformation to the, kind of the existing one to the other are not easy thing at once, but you should do that. You cannot, rebuild all the city, from the scratch. You should change it over. You need to have an evolutionary plan. That's why you need. It depends on the context of their energy resources, by the country, and so I think there's no one uniform way of doing metrics to these transformation changes. These are very contextual. Same as a smart city. A smart city by I mean is not creating new city, or not creating from the rough field to the green, from the green field to the urban city. No, no. We are changing the, existing people. We are not forcing the people to move over, but, by, there is a before and after. So smart city allows, the initiative allows our city to be smarter. Because of that, there are more people, right? And then we have a change it before and after. So I think, we have to think differently, right? And for the same thing, green transformation or energy transformation also play in that way. Yeah. Evolutionary changes.
All right, thank you very much for your answers and for the great questions to the participants. So I will close the Q&A session here. And while Cortland puts up the closing slides, thank you very much for also turning on your cameras so that I could see you. It was really good to see everyone. Yeah. Okay, so as many of you are new to the IEU, we just wanted to highlight some of the communications products that we produce. So we do have our podcast series called The Evaluator, and this is available on your favorite podcast platforms such as Apple, Spotify, and Anchor. And so please feel free to check it out. We have the latest episode on the topic of water bird conservation on an international scale. Next, please. And then the IEU has many prolific writers and thinkers, and we produce these short blogs to communicate our latest findings and so on. And the latest that we have is titled What the Green Climate Fund Can Teach Us About Multilateral Organizations by Dr. Archie Rastogi, who is a member of the IEU. So please scan the QR code and then give it a read. It's a very interesting article.
Well,
next, please. Yes, and we do also produce a lot of short videos, and the latest that we have is the IEU end of the year video for 2020, and it gives you an overview of the main accomplishments and highlights of the IEU, so please check it out. All right, and yes, today's virtual talk, I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And sadly for the IEU, the producer of the IEU virtual talks, Mr. Cortland Matthews, who is my dear colleague, this was his last virtual talk that he would participate as producer because he's leaving the IEU for a new career challenge. And so I would like to invite Cortland to give us a few words before we close this event. Cortland?
Thank you so much, Yeonji, for your kind words. It really is hard to be leaving the IEU, and I've had so much fun over the past 2 years organizing these virtual talks. It really is the cornerstone of what makes the IEU such a special place. We've had so many different speakers, and these are just a few of the snapshots, and there's so many more that we have planned in the coming months. So please do follow our website, iu.greenclimatefund.com, and we look forward to having you with us as we grow as a team. And it has been a pleasure. And thank you to Yeonji for the great moderating, and to Professor for a great presentation, and all the IU team. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Cortland and Yeonji.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cortland. Thank you very much, Professor Hwang. So yes, it is really sad for us to see Cortland go, but the IEU will make sure to deliver, many more IEU virtual talks on topics that matter to you, on the topic of sustainable development and climate change and evaluation. So it's a monthly talk, so please do join us again for the future virtual talks. It was very great to have you all. And with that, I will close this event. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.